Who am I? The time to decide is now. I remember the blissful, unbounded freedom of being one with the sun and sea, and unbridled joy being at home in the mountains. Am I going to remain fully human, connecting ever more deeply with the divinely natural world around me? Evolving my own DNA with the eternal genesis of creation? Or comply with swiftly moving artificial intelligence and medical surveillance, only to be altered through drugs and technology into something I am not? The answer is clear, for I am well aware of both the triumphs and ravages of modern medicine. Now I must help others see the crossroads we are at, why change is essential, and how the simple things in life are truly extraordinary. As I evolve further into the art of self-care, I hope to inspire you to learn just how perfectly you're created, supported, and protected by nature, and that being very clear about who you are is critically important at this time. Reconnecting with nature begins by leaving the electromagnetic smog of cell phones and computers behind, and using our own physical energy to get out into the sunshine, fresh air, and enchantment of life. Even in the city, the magic of our relationship with nature can be experienced in profound and enduring ways. The birds and trees notice my presence, and I feel that we're sharing the gift of simply being ourselves together in this moment. Self-healing must, by definition, come from the inside. But many allies share the path with us to help us on our way. A healing ally must touch a receptor, spark a signaling molecule, or trigger a hormonal cascade that brings harmony to all cells in the body. An ally may be a plant, animal, or person. And allies can be found even in the most desolate of places. Our society is rapidly losing connection with that which is truly human. For to be human is to be embedded in the natural environment. The will to be ourselves in an increasingly synthetic world takes courage, creativity, and a certain level of trust in our human potential. Taking care of ourselves and the world around us used to be at the core of human experience. To everything there is a season, and the joy of moving and working with plants, animals, and the earth gives meaning to human existence. Some people will remain confused about what is genuinely beneficial, becoming increasingly dependent on an unsafe healthcare industry, only to forfeit the unparalleled experience of observing and sustaining their own health. Others will awaken to the responsibility of self-care and the deep understanding that freedom from the jaundiced eye of medical surveillance is the next step on our evolutionary path. Self-care requires that we become fully alive to all that is, tuning our mind, body, and emotions moment by moment to the constantly changing circumstances all around us. Trusting that we are always deeply supported by nature, and taking gentle care of everything mindfully and with an open heart. Like many people, I've had to learn these truths through suffering and loss. So that now, all that matters in my life is forgiveness, restoration, and always working toward clarity and trust. It's more important than ever that we deeply consider who we are, how we want to live, and equally important, how we want to die. What is that DNA molecule tightly coiled in every one of our 50 trillion cells? How are we evolving, and where are we evolving to? It comes as no surprise to any of us that we're deeply entangled in a power-obsessed and money-hungry medical, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. I've been warning people since 2003 about the dangers of the medical system. And I'm not talking about emergency medicine. That's where the angels hang out. But the industries that have grown up around gynecology, orthopedics, and oncology, and now with the advent of genomics and artificial intelligence, there's been a rapid advancement in the surveillance of primarily, but not exclusively, the oncology or cancer population. And as a professional researcher, I've studied hormones and tissue biology for years. And I can tell you that the cancer literature is in shambles. It is entangled with conflicts of interest, publication bias, and poorly designed studies. And now it's critically important that we see that the cancer industry is not giving us cures. And I want to share with you an example of where all of this is going. This book was just published this year, 2019. It's called The First Cell, and it's written by an oncologist by the name of Azra Raza, and she describes in the book the tragic death of her husband from lymphoma. He was also an oncologist, but she describes, all of the horrendous deaths that she has seen in her career as a cancer doctor. But here, after describing how the drugs don't work, the molecular approach to studying cancer really is a dead end, she acknowledges all of that, which is true. But then here's how she sums up where she is going with the industry and the industry as a whole is going. Our two labs at Columbia University are collaborating in an effort to develop an implantable chip that can be inserted under the skin for constant surveillance, detection, capture, and destruction of the first cancer cells. Early detection is the most compassionate and humane solution for the cancer problem. But what's so interesting is she then admits that once they find the first cancer cells, that the approach will be the same molecular genetic approach that hasn't worked to this date. And all signs point to the fact that it can never work because of the ultimate complexity of life. That's what we're talking about, the God code here. And as a retired nurse who worked in hospice care, I can tell you that I have seen many, many, many very peaceful cancer deaths. And the most famous of which, actually, that I didn't see, but we've all read about, is the death of Steve Jobs, who died peacefully, surrounded by his family, and his last words being, "Oh wow, oh wow." And now we have just thousands upon thousands of near-death experiences being shared online to really help us understand that death is nothing to fear, and that we really shouldn't fight it to the degree that we have been doing all of these decades. I'm puzzled by all the devout people, Christians, Muslims, people from all races, all walks of life, who believe we're stuck on this planet without natural cures for cancer. But again, as a researcher, I can tell you that nature has given us marvelous cures for the treatment and prevention of cancer, but they have been hidden, obscured, and kept from us by the cancer industry. And the good news is that self-care is all about personal responsibility. We can't truly care for ourselves without caring for each other and the environment. The modern tendency is to live carefree. But is there someone you might take a little better care of today? For the web of life is a circular process. I love caring for my chickens, who give so much more than delicious eggs. Their lactobacillus-rich manure is like gold, giving vitality to the plants and trees that surround us. 15 years ago, we planted an orchard in our narrow breezeway, which gives us an abundance of fruit each summer. And the grace of the circle of life is that everyone gives to each other. The beautiful cottonwood that shades the aviary in the summer gives buds in the early spring that contain salicylic acid, the active ingredient in aspirin, which I make into high-quality pain medicine. We preserve peaches, apricots, cherries, and plums for the winter months. And today, I think I'll make stuffed pumpkin for dinner, using local organic food I've preserved for winter. Shiitake and cremini mushrooms give earthy richness, as do plums from my Italian plum tree. These leeks are from the Santa Fe Farmers Market, which we brought home on the train. Basmati and wild rice are staples in our house, which I always wash well before cooking. A few herbs, spices, and pounded hazelnuts will make our pumpkin divine. Our lifestyle may seem impossible, especially in the middle of a bustling city, but we simply started bit by bit many years ago and never looked back. We're happily carless, which allows us to work harder for our food by having to carry it in carts, bikes, and buses. We could eat inside, but it's far more satisfying to sweep a few leaves, build a fire, and be outside with the moon, stars, and our beloved cats on this cold December day. These little pie pumpkins are the best for stuffing because of their thick and succulent flesh. Pumpkin seeds are filled with the trace mineral zinc, which is essential for health, and are best roasted with a sprinkling of tamari or naturally brewed soy sauce. A simple life is really the best.